guys, and welcome back to my course. In this video, we will add some functionality to the block card. Say we wanted the block card to have a like button, which on click updates the like count for that specific card. Now we're talking about adding some functionality, which means we need a class-based component. But as you can see, our block card is a function-based component. So let's convert it to a class-based component. So we need to import component class. Let's change this constant to class. We gotta get rid of these parentheses. Instead of fat arrow, we can add extends because we wanna inherit the component class. Let's add the render method. And let's put all this code inside the render method. Now, just one thing to remember, when you're working with class-based components, you cannot simply use props. So to use them, you have to do this dot props. So let's refactor our code. So this dot props. Let's save it, let's check it. So as you can see, everything's working perfectly fine. So coming back to our code, let's add a like button. So let's say button and like. And we can also add a paragraph which shows the like count. So let's say 0 by default. Let's save it. And as you can see, all these blog items have like count of 0. Let me quickly increase the font size. It looks a bit small. So font size, say 24 pixels. Sorry, I made changes in the wrong file. We don't need this blockcard.css, so I'm just gonna go ahead and delete it. So coming to this module.css file, over here, let's just increase the font size, say 24 pixels, let's save it, and let's check it out. So as you can see, the font size is much bigger now. We can do the same thing for the button as well. So dot new block card and a button which is inside it. Font size 24 pixels. Is the button directly inside it? Yes. So as you can see, even the button has a bigger font size now. So now what we need to do is we need to add a state object. So state, let's create an object where we can hold the current state of our component, and in the state we can store this like count. So let's say like count, let's give it a default value of 0. So instead of this 0, let's wrap it in a span so that we can add some styles to it. Let's say like count. So again, curly braces. So always remember, whenever you want to work with JavaScript expressions inside JSX, you put them in the curly braces. So this dot state dot like count. Let's save it. Let's add some styles to this like count as well. So dot like count. Let's say font weight 600, so it looks a bit different, and font size, say 28 pixels. So as you can see, it's a bit different and a bit bigger than rest of the text. And it has a value 0 because it's coming from our state. So if I make this 10, so as you can see, the like count is 10 for all these different components. So coming back, let's make it 0. Now on this button click, what we want to do is we want to update that count. So on click, let's create a callback function. Say on like button click. So what we want to do here is we want to update the state. So this dot set state, because we'll have to use the set state method. And inside that, we can return the state object. So again, remember, because our next state will be decided by the current state, so we have to use this previous state value, which is provided by our set state method. So to update it, we can simply do like count is equal to previous state dot like count plus 1. So this will just update the value by 1. We can pass the reference of that callback function here. So on like button click, and because it's a class method, so we have to do this dot followed by class method name. So we're getting an error here, expected an assignment, but so an expression at line number 14. So over here, sorry. So this will have a return statement. Okay, much better. So coming back, as you can see, everything's working fine. So now when I click on this, so count is getting increased by 1, but it's getting increased only for this card. Because when I click on the slide button, so it updates the state for this component, not any other instance of that component. Similarly, when I click here, it just updates the count for this one. Similarly, when I click on third one, it just updates the count of the third block card. Now this works absolutely fine. But the problem is now you have 3 components which manage their own state. Say you had 100 blog items, then all these 100 blog items would be handling their own state, and it would just add to the complexity of your application. So a better way is to handle the like count in the parent component. So coming to the parent component, which is app.js. Now pay very close attention here. This object, it represents the block card. So having the like count here would make sense. So let's add a like count value here as well. So like count, let's give it a default value of 0. Now we will also need to add it for these other 2. So as you can see, all 3 objects have a default value of 0 for like count. So coming back to the block card, so we need to convert it back to normal function-based component. So let's get rid of this import. We wouldn't need it. Instead of class, constant, and instead of this extends and component, we want to create it as an arrow function. This will get props from the parent. There's nothing like state here. There's no render method, so all this code will go out in the main function body. For now, let's just comment this function and search for all the occurrences of this. Now we just gotta get rid of this values. So this dot, let's remove this as well and remove this as well. For now, let's just make it null for on click, so nothing happens when the button is clicked. There's nothing like state object, so let's say props.like count. So if you see here, this is the key for like count, and it will be passed as a prop because it's inside that object. And when you're rendering this blog homepage card, you're passing individual values, so we will also have to pass it separately. Say like count is equal to item.like count. So you can simply do props.like count. So coming back, as you can see, we got these default value of 0. So just to verify whether we're getting it from this, let's make the like count as 10 for the first card. So as you can see, the first card has a like count of 10. So let's revert it back. So far, so good. Now we need to handle on-click for the like buttons. So we want to handle on-click for this button. So what we can do is create a new function here, say on like button click. For now, let's just show an alert which says like button clicked, and we can pass this function as a prop to the blog card. So coming here, so this is where we're creating our blog card. So we can simply pass on like button click is equal to on like button click. So we will have to move this piece of code up here. And this is a class-based component, and this onLike button click is a class method. So to access it, we'll have to do this dot onLike button click. So if you try printing the props, which we are already doing here, so in those props, we should also get an onClick function. So let's check it out. So if I open this object, as you can see, we're also getting this method on like button click. So to use it, we can simply do props.onLike button click. So coming here, so this is the key which we use to pass down the prop. So to access it, we can simply do props.keyName. And now when we click on this button, as you can see, we're getting these alerts. Like button clicked, and like button clicked. Now the problem is, how do we know which block card's like button was clicked? We will talk about that in the next video, and that's all for today. I hope this gave you a better understanding of how to pass down data to your components. But if you have any doubts or queries, feel free to drop a comment below or reach out to me on Twitter. I'll add my Twitter handle in the description below. See you in the next video. Bye and take care.